Ready? And one, two, three, four. Wow. Guys, welcome back to another episode of Corridor Cast. I probably just blew out the recording of that, so I'm going to talk a little quieter. But wow, we got an amazing guest today. One of our dearest friends. The only sun when the sun is shining, the only sun when the sun ain't shining. He's just shining all the time. Brett Driver, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on, son? It's good to be here, son.
Dude, who's joining us? We got Clint.
Yo,
right?
what's up, guys?
We got Nicholas Laurent.
What's up?
And of course Christian on the recordings, as always.
He's doing amazing, by the way. You're
Dude,
doing great, Christian.
Brett, I am so happy to have you sitting right, like 6 feet from me right now,
Right?
son.
Yeah,
I'm happy to be here 6 feet from you, son.
Dude, only 6 feet though, because son, it's been a long time, and I've also known you for a very long time.
It's been a minute.
I just want to get right into it with a Christmas story.
Oh,
One of
wow.
my favorite Brett Son stories.
It happened on Christmas?
It happened on. It was New Year's. It was New Year's. They're close. It was
enough.
Christmas break
Close
and
enough.
mixed with New Year's. We were having a good old time at our friend Devon's house. You know, as you do on New Year's. You know, the whole family was there, friends and family alike. And it was kind of, it was that time. You know, the clock struck midnight. Everyone said 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year. And there's those like annoying little whistle things, with the blowers. And we started lighting these fireworks, and not just your normal everyday fireworks. These were some heavy duty fireworks. You know, you'll hear them 3 neighborhoods, 4 neighborhoods down. And yeah, so we're probably 5 minutes into it. And then all of a sudden, like we all notice, there's probably like 25 of us. We all notice at the same time, like, wait, is that a fire? And sure enough, the lawn had caught on fire, probably like 40 feet down the driveway. And, you know, of everyone there, you know, like, you know, what do you do when there's a fire? You
Stop,
drop, and roll? Yeah,
definitely.
you know, like you get the bucket of water, you get the fire extinguisher. Well, Brett acted fast, you know, and he said, "Not today, Mr. Fire," and he sprinted out down the driveway. And I just remember seeing this tiny little body, because it was like so far away.
It's a tiny little body.
And
He
he
was smaller back then.
leaped into the air and just body slammed the fire out. And everyone lost their minds and was
What?
just clapping and like,
You really did that?
Yeah, son.
Really?
I did.
yes, he did. It was
So
a beautiful thing.
You
It was
guys
a beautiful
started
thing.
this
Of course he
fire?
did.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we were setting off fireworks, you know.
Okay. And then you needed had Brett not been there,
Then
you'd
no,
probably
I
be
mean,
dead.
That's like a Medal of Honor move right there, man.
I think you
just
probably
threw your
jumped
body
on
on the
it, to be
grenade.
honest.
I don't
Can
know.
you take us through the logistics of body slamming a fire, Brett? Like
Yeah,
what
what
happened
goes-
from your perspective?
I just thought, like Clint said, you have to act quick in these situations. If something did not
Yeah.
happen, like it would have been bad for their lawn. Number one,
God forbid
I
the
mean,
lawn.
yeah.
Yeah.
God forbid the lawn got burnt.
crap.
What about
you
your
know,
body,
like
though?
all that. Yeah, you can't let that happen.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, yeah, Brett, I think that's what we all appreciate about you. One of the things is that, you know, you're the type of person who acts on stuff and gets it done.
A very hard worker,
Yeah, man,
dedicated
definitely.
as well. Very, very dedicated.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, there's so much to get into. There's so many stories. I was trying to, like, we were sitting here writing down all these stories, and there's just too many of them. And I'm sure some will come up as we go. But,
So
I
Brett,
guess-
well, Brett, where do you think you got that?
Got
Like
what?
that personality about yourself? You know, you're out of anybody that we know, out of all the corridor crew, what have you, our extended network of friends and family. You know, you definitely fall in there as somebody who would be willing to go the extra mile for somebody else, or you'd be willing to, you know, put yourself on the line for somebody else. Where do you think you got that? Growing up, or was it?
I don't. That's a good question. I guess just growing up in Georgia. I guess. I mean, it's like my grandfather probably was a huge influence on me with that. It's just he was a very creative person. He used his voice a lot, and he just cared about people, you know. And I just everywhere I went with him, I don't know. There was a genuine respect about the way he treated people. I don't know. I just noticed very quick. It just light people's day up, and you know, I deal with my own issues, but yeah, I guess that's where it comes from. Is just wanting people to be happy, you know.
Yeah.
And just just that servanthood of caring about what's being produced. You know, if might as well do it 100% if something is worth doing.
I mean, we also grew up going to church too, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I was
think-
kind of raised into church. Honestly, it was like a very fire and brimstone type of atmosphere.
Like screaming at you kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely that kind of way. And I just from a very young age, I don't know. I have my own beliefs about things we won't get into, obviously. But yeah, I just from a very young age, I just noticed that something was kind of off with that mentality. It's just, I don't know. I think there's a way of loving people and caring about people without, it's a whole different thing. But,
Yeah, no, for sure.
So you guys both grew up in Georgia, right?
Clint, no, you grew up here in California.
Oh,
right?
no, Chino, and then you moved to Georgia.
I did,
right?
yeah. I moved freshman year of high school to Canton, Georgia.
Gotcha.
So I consider it a second home. I still my parents are still there, and I still go back every year for Christmas. So I consider part of me was raised there. But Brett, you were born in Georgia, right?
Yeah. I was born in a tiny little town, like a few hours below Atlanta. But yeah, really small town. I was always really big into art and to. I was always a very quiet kid. Didn't really know how to express myself too much. So like making films, my dad was a huge influence in just the way of picking up a camera.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's a weird situation to talk about, but like my experience from my dad was like always behind a camera when I was a kid. So like every birthday, every soccer game, everything that I've ever done is literally like film, which is it's a little weird, but I mean it got me into picking up a camera at a very young age and like really caring about how like telling stories and things like that.
Very cool.
So as somebody who grew up shy, I guess, where did you make the, I guess, mental transition from that to the more extroverted type that you need to put on when you're like on a camera or when you're in a film or what have you? Where did you make that mental shift and then
It was honestly, Jake, it was probably like, because Clint, we moved here in 2011, and I was here for a few years, and then my grandparents started going downhill, and they both developed Alzheimer's disease and things like that. So I moved back to kind of look after them for a bit, and I guess it was that point where like I wasn't doing much filming at all, and I was just living at my grandparents' house, just taking care of them, and I was just. I don't know, I was in a really kind of dark place for a while, and I'd always cared about acting. It was something that I've always desired to do. And I think I got into acting to just be more comfortable with myself and to learn how to, communicate well and things like that. So yeah, acting was honestly therapy. It was a lot of therapy. So I would travel like 2 hours to Atlanta every Tuesday, and that one day a week was like my therapy to go into and just I don't know, acting class was cool because you go in there and it's like everyone wants to just be better at being good to each other, and being authentic. And yeah, I think that was the kind of the shift that kind of wanted me to, be more outgoing and caring about people more. But it's still tough. I deal with, a lot of anxiety constantly. So
we all do for sure.
Yeah. How do you
work in
deal with that with
progress.
acting? Do you just like say, like put it aside and just like
Well,
dig deep, or
I
like
think I was telling Jake and Christian, it's like this is the most uncomfortable. Just talking about
Really?
myself, I hate it. But it's like it's so freeing when you can get like something on paper and you can learn these words and then you can kind of create a character and then you're free to do it. No one expects you to be Brett Driver. No one expects you to be that person. It's just like you can kind of not care about being someone else and. I don't know.
So it's like
weird
zero
kind of-
zero expectations.
Some ways, yeah.
I try to be Brett Driver when I wake up every day. I'm
Do
like,
you, son?
I think a lot
man,
of
what,
people
what
do.
would the sun do?
Dude,
Sometimes-
Brett will text me in the morning sometimes, and it says, it's a brand new day.
It's a brand.
It's a
Brand new
brand new
day.
day, son.
Rise
Hey,
and
so-
shine.
Rise and
son.
shine. Yeah, rise and
Rise
shine.
and
It's a
shine.
brand new
So-
day.
I'll get
So
you. I'll
let's
get
go-
you a bracelet, Jake. Says, "What would the sun do?"
I appreciate that.
WWSD.
Can we make that?
WWSD. Hey, so let's go
WWSD.
back here. So you met Clint in Georgia, obviously.
We
But
met
let's
on
go
Indie Mogul.
because we've gotten a lot of requests for Brett for you on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to answer some of these questions that people have commented. Like, hey, oftentimes it's like, hey, what's Brett up to? What's Brett's involvement with Corridor? Like, how did you guys all meet? So take us through that.
Okay, Clint.
So did you? Let's see. Okay.
2009. I was like 2008.
Two-
2008, 9.
2009. Yeah. So I met Brett on the Indie Mogul YouTube channel. I was a huge fan of Indie Mogul with Eric Beck when he was doing it way back in the day. And they had a show. I think it was called Backyard Effects, or it was like a user submitted episode where you submit your visual effect and they'll take the best ones and they'll compile them and put them at the end of the month. Boom. All these guys. And my clip got chosen. So of course I was like, this is awesome. I'm watching the episode and I see this clip of this dude like with no legs. And he's like, it was like World War II, Saving Private Ryan, and his legs got blown off and he's all like blood coming out everywhere and he's screaming, ah! And that was Brett's clip. And I'm like, what the heck? I was like, dude, that's so crazy. How, like, cause I was into making World War II films and like those gas mask apocalyptic films. Like we'll get into all that stuff.
Yep.
But that's how I met Brett. I looked up at his profile, said he's from Atlanta, and I just sent him a message immediately. And like, I don't know, we got together like the next week or
Yeah,
something.
the next week I drove it to where you were in Canton, and then we shot a little something, scared a woman out of her mind. With Clint was wearing this gas mask, had a AR-15 out, like just in the middle where people were jogging at this nice little creek bed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
Full military get up, and we shot a little something, and yeah, it was a good
Shot
time.
a quick
That
little
was-
gas mask picture.
When I met
know?
you guys, I thought you guys had been friends since like boyhood.
I mean, it feels that way.
It does, yeah, it does. No, yeah, but we've known each other for a while for sure. We moved to California together.
I think I met you around that time when we were making. Yeah, I met you on.
I think, dude, it was around the
YouTube.
probably like 2009 or 10. But
Yeah.
we had made this 3-part mini feature. It was super low
The
budget.
freelance,
Yeah,
right?
the freelance.
Dude, that was so cool.
We
So-
all had jobs and everything else.
Yeah, so I was making. I think all of 2008 and 2009, I was making this like post-apocalyptic film, as you do. You
Yeah, of
know,
course, of
as you
course.
do, in that era. And I just filmed like this awesome thing. It put out this trailer. It was like I was getting my final edit together, and I released the trailer. And basically, it's like, you dress up your friends in the surplus military gear that you have, in a gas mask, of course.
Of course.
And you find, your local abandoned military building, and you go film a little
As one
movie,
does, yeah.
And I put this out. I'm like, damn, this is gonna be so cool. And like the next day, I see Brett's film, The Freelance. I think it was the trailer for that, and like I see it, and it's like the same thing. It's like dude walking around with a freaking sepia tone color grade, son, and like 2:35 aspect ratio
You got
with
the
the gas mask.
one guy in the midst of it all.
Eerie as heck, shot beautifully as well.
Thank you,
shot
son.
super
I
beautifully,
appreciate
and
that.
just like a lot of atmosphere. And I was like, dude, I'm either gonna have to go find this guy and burn down his garage, or I'm gonna have to add him on Facebook and become friends with him.
I'm glad
what
it
we
was the
did.
latter, son.
So yeah, man. I mean, we kind of had that in common from just like our whole aesthetic and filmmaking. I guess what interested us,
Yeah.
So we met through that.
Totally did. Yeah, I remember seeing like Hollow, and it was like so identical, and but it was cool. Like it was,
They each had their-
these are how like a lot of my best friends came apart. It was just like by chance on YouTube, which is the strangest thing. Yeah.
What is it with the post-apocalyptic thing? Like
I don't know.
if okay, you got to give me 2 inspirations from stuff you're into that inspired you to be into post-apocalyptic shorts. 2 things.
Okay, 28 Days Later
Okay.
was really a big one.
Okay.
And then, oh man, what was the other one for Hollow?
I can tell you mine right
It's hard to say. There was a little bit of Behind Enemy Lines in there, probably. Saving
my
Private
God.
Ryan
So-
was a
oh
big
my
one.
God, dude, so good.
But yeah, I mean, Book of Eli too. Was
Oh,
pretty
so
cool.
good.
Yeah. What about you?
It was definitely Book of Eli.
Oh, yeah.
And The Road.
Oh, The Road.
The Road was a
Classic.
Road is
classic
jacked
one.
up.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, Saving Private Ryan, of course. 28 Days Later. Behind Enemy Lines, no doubt. And then like Silent Hill too. Actually,
Yeah.
was like a huge inspiration. Just like wandering around abandoned places with eerie music and fog. Like that's so. It's just the best.
Yeah.
That game freaks me out so much. You showed me that game for the first time, like what, last
I
year?
love Silent Hill.
That's
I
awesome.
survived.
Put it on. Yeah, man, that's freaky. Even the original one's freaky. My real question though, the important question is what what's your favorite type of gas mask? You know, do you like the one with the 2 filters? Do you
Okay.
like the one with the, you know, the Russian one?
I like the
See, if
bulky
you have
one.
the
like
two
the,
filters,
like, there's not.
one can fail on you and you can still survive.
That's
I mean,
what I'm
that's
saying. You have the backup. No.
It's a relevant question. in
It's the
today's
bulky
time.
one. It's all about the bulky one with like,
No.
you know, the like the filters, like the ones that they pop out, but they're like right in here. You know, sick.
Oh, dude.
Oh, Half-Life. That was
Of
it.
course. Yeah,
That was it.
Half-Life.
Yeah,
Totally, dude. I
that
mean,
was-
dude, like the guys, like the like,
Combines?
We all have our own like version of gas mask soldier bad guys in each one of our films.
Yeah.
Like you had yours, like the
Yeah.
Fallout movie, and like Brett, you had like the camo guys. Yours had camo and gas masks. Mine were like just like the Combine. They had black clothing with gas
Yeah,
masks.
Clint
and
came
they-
out for one of them. You were the soldier at the end of the hall. You remember
Oh, with
the
that
machine
huge
gun?
gun. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
hotel they like torched down.
That was one amazing thing. Yeah, it was just we had access to so many abandoned locations
Dude.
Yeah.
in Georgia. There's an abundance of them.
I think that's why it's just like we were like, what can we do with the the resources we have? You had that awesome mill,
Yeah.
Dude.
which we filmed.
Rest
some
in peace,
of.
dude.
Yeah,
Rest
yeah,
in peace.
that was awesome.
Well, also post-apocalyptic gives you access to all these other like genres within it. You know, you've got
Yeah.
action, you've got drama, you've got
like mystery.
Yeah.
yeah, you can go in all these different directions, and so you only need one camera, you only need one character, and then you call your buddies for like the couple other scenes that
Yeah.
you need to have the horde or whatever, and all of a sudden you have this. Also, it removes it from the regular world, because the first thing you want to do when you pick up a camera is like you're like, well, I don't want to film the real world. That's what I've been living in. The whole point of like telling
Yeah.
a story is to tell a different story.
abandoned
um,
world.
So
All
and then
has
you have all
fallen.
you have all the abandoned
Resurrection.
buildings.
Resurrection. Dude, no, for sure.
It just has so much texture.
I know, man. And
Beautiful.
yeah, I'm really grateful that we all donned the gas masks and went out and made those movies because, yeah, lifelong friends.
Absolutely.
Then the first time I actually met Brett face to face was we'd met another filmmaker, Keith Hodder.
Keith Hodder. What's up,
And
Keith?
he's over in Toronto. And we met on Facebook and we like wrote a film together through the internet.
Mhm.
And then Keith and I flew out to
To my
Thomaston.
tiny little town.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, to your
Yeah.
tiny town.
Tiny little town.
And yeah, it was kind of like that was the first time I'd ever left. That's the first time I'd ever been to the South,
Mhm.
like at all. First time I'd ever met you in real life,
Mhm.
and the first time I'd ever like collaborated on a film with 2 other people
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
so.
it was awesome. Like
That was
I'd pick
yeah.
you up from the airport. And I remember we would like literally we're shooting the next day, and we just went straight to Goodwill, right? And just
Yeah, we went to
had to get all
Goodwill,
the
had to get
costumes
some
for all the
costumes.
actors.
Man, it's so fun when you're doing it all yourself like
Oh, yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I remember Clint, you were supposed to film your Killzone extraction piece,
That
right?
same
Yeah.
That
the
same week.
Same week.
And I was stoked because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get to be like help out with like Punisher's film also. Like that'll be sweet.
But it was too snowy, right?
I know
Yeah.
there was a
It's
huge
ice storm.
snowstorm.
Because I couldn't make it down. It's like a 2.5 hour drive, and I was gonna be slipping, sliding all over the place.
That was
Bro.
the case. It was snowing.
Yeah.
Was that it?
It was an ice storm or snowstorm.
Oh yeah, we were.
And it was
stuck
actually
in,
yeah. I mean, it kind of benefited us because it looked really cool for our film.
Oh heck yeah.
That we ended up shooting. It was
And
very
the,
moody.
Yeah, I mean, the short takes place over like what 2 weeks or something. So it's like you went from like a sunny day to like a rainy night into the snowy. Like it was just so cool.
You guys
to
got
have
so
those-
lucky. That's the best
It was
thing about
awesome.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I think that's what makes it too. Is just the change in season and
Yeah.
just that look of it.
But just the feeling of like a team effort was so nice there. Like we, all the actors who flew out, they were all local Georgia actors.
Yeah.
Zach Sale.
We had casted it.
Um,
Yeah, everything was done. We were all in different places and just making
So
things
fun.
work somehow.
Freaking just eating chicken nuggets every night.
Yeah.
Dude. At Thomaston McDonald's, dude.
Just get 100 chicken nuggets. We gotta feed a crew.
We're too tired to do anything. We're just like, let's just get some chicken nuggets.
That's it.
That was,
So eventually, Nick, you and Brett were roommates.
well, yeah. First, Brett was roommates with Clint,
Yeah, we
right? The first
yeah,
time
we
you-
moved.
Oh yeah,
So
in the studio. In
yeah,
Studio
we're getting
6.
all out of order here.
Yeah, that was
You moved here.
yeah, Clint and I. Well, actually, you'd moved here a little bit before me.
Yeah.
This was in 2011.
2011.
2011.
I came back for Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and then we drove out together.
That's right. Yeah, I packed my car, and then we head out, and I think we made it in what 2.5 days. We didn't sleep at all.
No. We didn't sleep at all.
Oh my
that was the
gosh.
worst experience of, dude. It was so bad. Like we went 36 hours straight from Georgia to Los Angeles, and
You
it
didn't
was
sleep?
no, dude.
What?
It was so bad. Oh, dude. No offense,
how'd you guys-
Jake, but driving through Texas was just a
Worse.
No offense,
It
Jake.
was
Sorry.
rough.
You didn't play the right music, son.
24 hours of just nothing, just rocks.
no
and just,
sleep. And here's the thing too: is like we got to the point where we were just so tired. It's, you know that feeling you just start getting jittery.
yeah.
And we had I think 8 bottles of 8-hour energy or
Yeah,
something.
we had like the shots, the
We were
energy
just
shots. like,
downing
oh,
those on the road. And just,
You can just add those.
Okay,
on
so
to each
for
other.
just real quick, for people who don't know how big Texas is, just going across from Houston to El Paso, which is like the short way. That if you go from Mexico to Oklahoma, it's even
man.
longer.
Don't get me
But
started.
I went to Houston the other day, and I was on the 10, and the 10, you know, every state that an interstate enters, it starts with mile 1, right? And so when you enter El Paso, it starts with mile 1. And I went to Houston, and it was like 840 or something.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the mile markers were just, and that's when I, you know,
That's
that's
kind
when
of
it
depressing.
sort of settled
when you
in.
see like 840, you're like, all right.
Yeah.
yeah,
Let me just not look at signs for a while.
The way I think about it is like
Might
if you go 840 miles an hour, you'll be there in an hour.
yeah, exactly. You just have to
Oh,
break
like
the sound
that time
barrier.
that we almost, that we were going like 100 miles an hour.
Should
we
get
get into that?
Oh,
Yeah.
might as well. Let's
do
hear
that
this.
later.
We'll do that. Should we? I mean, we're here.
We're here.
We're here. Quick aside.
Let's do it.
Yeah, me and Nick almost died.
Yeah.
You want to just break down that quick
I
little
feel
story?
like it's just it's kind of a tangent.
Is-
But
It is kind of
Clint hits me up randomly one night. He's like, "Hey, I'm going up to San Francisco real fast because this
Real
kid,
fast?
this kid, yeah, literally real fast, like for like a day, like a night." He's like, "You want to come with me because I know you like World War II stuff." And this kid who knows this guy named Hans that owns a lot of World War II memorabilia,
Dude, he owned. Oh my god, it
and
was
apparently
ridiculous.
a bunch of tanks, son.
A bunch of tanks, a bunch
You
of
said
half
there were
tracks.
fields of tanks.
Fields of tanks and half tracks and like a whole basement full of World War II
Yeah.
like costumes and stuff.
And I'm like, heck yes, that sounds awesome. We'll get to, go up there. So we drove up to Northern California we started at like 5 p.m. from LA.
We started later than that, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like we started at like 8 p.m.
And we get in Clint's car and we're just driving at night. And night driving, I don't like it for many reasons, but it's just, this is another one of those reasons. This just adds to the reasons. We were playing 20 questions. As
we
you
were.
do.
We were playing 20 questions.
It was getting pretty intense. These questions, they're popping off.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we weren't paying attention. We were taking an access highway to get from the 5 freeway over to the 101 freeway, I think. So you have to cut across through some farmland in the middle of California.
Janky.
It goes to this narrow freeway. And Clint's driving.
You queued it up.
I
You
queued
saved
up
my
a
life.
question. Yeah, I queued a question, but Clint merges over to the left lane of this highway and we're just speeding along. And I don't remember what the question was, but we were pondering something awful because I
Yeah.
don't think either of us were looking ahead of us. And, like there's a headlight coming. This headlight, I'm like, all right, it's just a car coming in front of us. And at the very last moment, I look over and I see that the headlight is actually right in front of us. And that we're not on a 2-lane road. You didn't merge to the left lane, you merged to the opposite lane.
Opposite side, yeah.
And man,
Yeah, I just remember like you said.
I just screamed.
You said, "Whoa, dude, whoa!" I look up, and it was one of those quick moments where I was like,
it was
And then
really
it was
bad,
just
dude. Yeah.
Wait,
and I just
so
see
wait,
this dad
you got,
just like
you went the wrong way on a one-way.
I was on the opposite side of the road, Jake, in the
Opposite
middle of the
side.
night.
We thought it was a 2-lane highway because we'd been on a highway which was only
Multiple lanes, yeah.
multiple lanes going in the same direction, and I guess we just
It was late.
These
We were
questions,
delusional,
man.
man.
It was the
Now,
questions.
was Brett with you guys?
No,
No, we were.
No.
That was an aside. We were talking about drives.
we're
and-
on a
Because
tangent.
I
God.
thought you were about to say that, like,
Brett appeared in
he
a
body slammed the vehicle. Yeah, like I was
Son, look in front of you, son.
I was waiting for an interjection where he enters the
No,
story.
we're just going
and
off.
And then
So-
I
But,
raced-
but in that moment, I thought, what would the sun do?
What a-
And,
Yeah.
uh,
Exactly.
yeah.
you coming over here, son?
Oh man, we got red.
Oh
We
wow,
got
it's red.
Six
Special
feet.
guest.
Grab a mask.
Special guest.
Son, 6
Yeah,
feet.
you're a little close.
A wild Ren appears.
I'm not in this podcast.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Bye,
You're
Ren.
not joining the pot,
Bye.
Red.
Look at all the
anyway,
seat.
That was a sketchy time. I'm glad we didn't die. That
Yeah, we didn't die.
really sucked. That would have been horrible, dude.
It would have been over.
Like literally, if that question was a little bit harder, like no more questions.
Dude.
No more questions.
But let's get back to the other car ride.
You guys driving out
Yeah.
to California. What year was this?
2011.
2000, probably 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in Texas.
24 hours driving straight through Texas. So we didn't sleep once, and it was miserable. But we finally landed, and it was, oh man, it was great. Anything to get out of that car.
Yeah, I think we had met up with you that day when we landed. It was Kadik and. I think-
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So you guys had known each other from the filming that you did in Georgia, Nick. You guys knew Nick, and then you got here. And did you already have spots in the studio? Because when I met you both, you were living in Studio 6.
That's where we moved to. So we were right behind, where Freddie and Brandon were at the time. With,
That was like their main
with
production
W.
room, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
Studio
there's
6 up there.
where Freddie and Jimmy their rooms were back there at one point. I forgot.
I forget. I think
Early
they lived
on-
in 3.
So, no, Freddie and Jimmy were in 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
But I was living out of this room with no windows and no door, and there's brick walls, just surrounded by brick walls.
I don't know how you guys did that.
Yeah.
Dude, I
Dude,
was just down there.
Spencer did that room for like 8 years, man.
That's
I know,
insane.
man.
I don't
That
know
is
how.
props
That's
to him though, because like you guys were just sweating. back
Dude,
there,
Brett was
dude.
living under the
Just-
toilet. Brett was living under the toilet with the
Yeah.
pipes dripping and dropping.
Oh man, there's some horrible stories. You know what? There was one.
What?
I woke up this one morning. Let me tell you this, Jay.
Yes.
You
Yes.
gotta talk about
never
the
mind.
previous night.
What's
The
previous?
previous night. You talking about the sock?
Yes.
Okay. All right. You gotta talk about the previous night.
What was the previous night?
Previous night, you were taking a shower, and I was like, I'm gonna scare Brett. So I went in. I
Oh.
snuck into your room, and
I
I
don't
was.
think, I don't think that's what caused it.
No, I definitely caused it. I snuck in your room and I hiked up my boxers, so it looked like I was basically naked, and I was in the corner of the room with the lights off, and I had like stuck my head on the side of the wall and like smeared it, so I was like, some like Silent Hill creature. And Brett comes back in his room, and he doesn't even know I'm there for like a minute. And he turns around, dude. He turns around and he goes, "Oh my!" And he drops to the ground. And he's.
You made him faint?
He nearly
don't think
fainted.
it was
He
that.
immediately dropped to the ground. He doesn't remember it because it's a blank spot in his brain because it was so
man.
horrifying. But then Brett, you
what
can
happened.
get to that next morning. Go for that next morning.
So all right, whether that happened or not, I woke up the next morning.
Wait. What
That-
happened from your side?
I thought it was. I looked over and I tweaked my neck. I thought that was the case. That you scared.
I think
me.
you just got scared so bad that this is what happened.
But anyway, I woke up the next morning and I think I had pinched a nerve. I think that was the case, but I could not even move no joke. I could not move. Even like if I did, it would just, it's the most excruciating pain I've ever felt. And I couldn't move, and I just called for Clint. And I said, dude, I can't move. And it lasted about 2 days. But the first Clint's intuition, I said, I need something cold or something. Give me a compact pet press or something.
No, it was like a
Something hot.
warm up thing.
This
right?
man goes up into the kitchen, wraps his old dirty sock.
It wasn't mine. I found it in the corner. I don't know.
He cooked an old, out-of-date tortilla, stuck it in the sock, and then microwaved that in the microwaved it.
What?
And it was just.
What was-
And
I thought it would be like you don't want to put a searing tortilla on the man's neck, so you gotta pat it somehow. with the sauce.
You were going for like the rice method.
Yeah.
Sounds
So
like.
he brings this to me, and I put it on my neck. I'm like, Clint, what is this? And he goes, it's my sock. I wrapped a tortilla in it. I'm like, what?
Dude,
What?
it smelled so bad.
It's a
for so
distraction
long.
was
technique
horrible.
from the
It was
pain.
terrible.
Yeah.
So did it
was the
make
most
your neck
random
feel
thing.
better?
No, absolutely not. No.
It was the thought that counts, son. My
I
heart was in it
appreciate
for the whole time. All right,
that.
can't blame you too
I'll
much.
give you that.
How long did you guys live back in those caves, man?
Just a year, I think.
Just a year for you?
Yeah.
What
About
about-
a year. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It seems like it was longer.
It does.
I remember visiting you guys, and I was like, how do you live here? Like, Freddie and Brandon and like everyone who was Ben Waller, I think, was
Yeah,
working there.
yeah,
and
yeah.
Benji,
Was here.
they were all like in full production all the time.
Dude, they
Like
just
all
have
the
the-
time.
They have the
3
loudest
a.m.
laugh.
Dude,
And
they
the-
would be 3 a.m. Like we're all back there, like trying to keep a normal sleep schedule. God forbid. and they were just freaking howling, like shooting airsoft guns, freaking like
Typing just and the loudest keyboards like
Yeah,
just
Freddy's
laughing.
typing. Freddy's notorious typing.
Oh yeah.
You
And
can,
there's, like, a
I can
piece of
still
cloth
hear
on
it.
the
I can
shower
hear him
curtain.
typing right now.
Yeah, I
Oh,
can hear
man.
Freddie typing right now.
Yeah, but there was definitely a really cool energy. You guys lived there at a really cool time when things were.
Oh
It
man.
was crazy. It must have been crazy to just be in that environment.
Well, it's weird because I left where I was because, like, I mean, Atlanta's thriving. It's more or less picking up a lot. But I mean, when I left, there was like nothing going on, and it seemed like the only people who were doing stuff were in LA at the time. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting journey.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of the transition between like traditional film and digital media as we know it today, and as it continues to evolve. But that period of like that 8-year period or so, you know, things were kind of, everyone was trying to figure out what to do next because everyone knew that something was coming, but no one exactly knew how or you know how to make it work on the production side. And there were Freddie and Brandon in Studio 6 keeping you guys up till 3 a.m. with filming God knows what, turning around videos every
Crazy.
week. Yeah.
That was that was a crazy time. That was really fun.
Milkman.
Milkman.
Dude,
Freaking-
Milkman was so. I remember that night. I came down to hang
You
out.
were, yeah, you were.
I was just like, yeah, let's hang out. And then you're like, oh wait, well, I'm supposed to be in this Freddy video, and turns out it was Milkman. And I was just sitting there watching you get friggin' milk thrown at your
Yeah.
face all night.
Yeah,
That was
we-
amazing,
blasted,
dude.
man.
What a
Dude,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Rough.
But was that your acting debut?
Mhm.
Was that your acting debut?
No, I had done stuff in my own stuff. It was like little, cameo pieces. I was growing up where I was. I think I'd always wanted to act and do that, but
Really?
I was always behind the camera. I think my dad's involvement with shooting, home movies. I picked up a camera when I was young, and I don't know, like I still love shooting. I love creating, compositions within the camera, and that's something I miss. I've definitely redirected myself in some ways, but no,
It's definitely unique, man. Like you don't see a lot of people who are like. I mean, me and Clint both know you. Primarily, we knew you primarily as a filmmaker. You don't see a lot of people who are like really good at like the skill. Like you have a great visual sense and like story, like great cameraman, great editor, great director, and then you're like, well, I kind of really just want to act. And so you went back to Georgia for a couple of years, right?
I did, yeah, for for my grandparents.
Yeah.
And that was for sure. Now,
That's kind of when you decided, or
I think that was kind of like I said, nothing was really going on in Georgia, and it's like it's such a no one's really doing their own thing. The biggest things were obviously TV shows, and I did stand-in work for a few shows. Vampire Diaries I worked on for quite a while.
night, dude.
Is that where you learned how to stunt fall?
No,
Was it
actually,
in this time?
I think through skateboarding that was kind of the whole thing. Skateboarding probably really got me into making movies too. It's just because we would always make skate videos and things like that. But yeah, I think just learning skateboarding, you have to, if you're hitting rails or anything like that, you just have to know when you're gonna eat it and just hope to roll out of it. I don't classify anything I do as stunt man. I think it's just hopefully not hurting yourself. Like
Yeah,
I'm not so much of a
good at not
stunt man.
hurting
I'm more
yourself.
like a do it and hope I don't hurt myself man.
Exactly. Yeah. I
fall
mean,
man?
I can unless it's like tiny guns. Like that was horrible. Obviously, I had
I mean,
totally. But things like that. I just learning how to recover out of something if something goes bad. I think
Yeah.
skateboarding is a good teacher of that.
dude, that video where there's a video on the Sam and Nico Quarter Crew channel where it's like you showing us how to like stunt fall.
Oh yeah.
So funny, dude. And then like freaking you did a stunt fall into the wall and freaking like and then like
Did I do that?
Wait, what? I
Did
don't know
do
this.
that?
Nico's like, no, it was already
Precisely.
there. Yeah.
Oh man, that's a good video. You guys should go watch that video for the
Dude,
memories.
Or the time like what gets me is the one where you leave Ren's driveway and you open you go to open the gate, but the gate just
Oh,
totally
yeah, it
like
just
falls
falls
apart
over.
on you and you like stumble. Like that is the freaking funniest visual gag to me. And it was like it was genuine. It actually happened.
It totally did. Yeah.
Oh man.
Hilarious.
I was up. That was I was working at the gym and the bar at that point, and I'd stayed up all night, and then taught Ren how to kickflip in 24 hours.
Oh my
That was
so-
the
gosh,
kickflip
dude.
video, dude.
Yeah.
I forgot.
It was.
Man.
So when did you start living with Nick? Was that when you moved back?
That was when I moved back. Yeah. So after, it got to the point where
Because you lived with Clint first, though, in the house, right? You guys.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
lived together
yeah.
for another like
Pasadena.
year or
we lived in
two.
Pasadena with at the time
Max and Amanda.
Max and Amanda were there as well.
Yeah.
That was a fun house. You guys used to have parties.
That was
yeah,
a great house.
we had some really
Yeah,
fun
that was a
times
good
there.
house.
Heck yeah,
Those
dude.
parties were awesome because everybody came over and it was a good
Yeah.
hangout. Yeah.
Rock climbing the walls.
Mm-hmm. Floors lava.
Floors lava, yeah. But that was like 2 years, right? And
2
then
years.
you
yeah.
moved in with Nick, was it?
That was well
When you
after.
came
No,
back.
no, no.
When you
that's,
came back,
That's
you went
when
to
I
Atlanta.
moved back. Yeah, that was my grandparents' time, and then yeah, I'd spent I think almost 2.5 years there. Not doing a whole lot of anything actually. I wasn't doing much filming. I wasn't doing anything. Like I said, I was just like literally one day a week I would go to the acting class, and like I said, that was really where probably my passion and that was my courage to try to go into acting because I've always wanted to do it, and obviously video games, and my grandfather was he was he loved movies, he loved actors, he was a huge fan of Elvis, James Dean, Marlon Brando. So like I was watching these films when I was a kid, and it's like, yeah, that's something that always intrigued me, but it was so against the grain of me. It's like I'm so very, not the most spoken person, and so it's just like, yeah, it took a lot of courage to kind of go into the class. Like I drove 2 hours to get there and just sat in the parking lot debating if I wanted to
Really?
even go in. Yeah, it was terrifying. Yeah, I met a lot of awesome people there, and it was just, yeah, it was an amazing experience, and definitely the time that I needed to get back to myself, 'cause
So then you came back up to LA or back over,
Yeah.
and then you lived with
which
Nick
was
for-
even scarier the second time than the first time.
What
yeah.
were the circumstances of the second time? Was it just
Yeah,
wanting to
it was
pursue the
it was
passion
the
again?
point where I was just I never wanted to leave LA, to be honest. It was something that
Yeah.
I just kind of needed to do because it was a lot of my dad and my dad's parents and everything. It was a lot of my dad. My mom was still working, but no, it was just a very isolating time, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think you moved back out to LA, and then eventually you were looking for a room, and so was I with my other roommate currently, and yeah, we found a really good cheap place in Koreatown, and yeah,
Yeah,
even though it's haunted, it was pretty good.
I was
pretty good
living with
apartment.
with Zach for a little while. I went to, he was living in Reseda for a while, so I moved there for a bit, and then that was when I gave you a shout, Jake, to see if you guys
Yeah.
had anything else. So that was around the same time. Yeah, and then we were looking for a place closer to LA.
Yeah, I'm still there, but yeah, you moved what, like
That was
last year, late last year?
late last
Yeah,
year. Yeah.
but you were there for like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
That was
a
some
while.
good time, good living.
So overall, I mean, so it's 2020 now, and you've been, you've come out to LA as of 9 years ago. You went back and forth a bit. Out of all this time, I guess like, what have you learned about yourself and about how you apply that to what you do now, since moving out there?
You mean creatively or just in life in general? Or?
Like life in general, but then after that, I guess creatively.
You mean like, I'm sorry, Jake. Like you mean like what did I learn back in Georgia when I to come back here to apply, or?
No, like you've been in this. How old are you now?
I'm 33.
Yeah, so it's been, so when you came out, you were what, 22, 23?
22, yeah, 22
Ish.
23 somewhere. Mm-hmm.
So as you've gone through this time now out here in the city,
Right.
I guess how have you evolved as a person? How have you?
Oh wow, yeah, okay. Well, I'm from a very small town. I don't know. A lot of the town that I'm in is very stuck in the 1940s, and I just know that I just wanted to always, see the world and understand other people's perspectives, and yeah, I guess that's the biggest thing.
Did you have expectations of success when you moved out here, or like of what you thought life would be like in LA, or were you just kind of like, let's just see what happens? And if you did, or if you didn't, have they changed? Like,
Yeah,
have
I mean,
those expectations evolved?
It was definitely a lot of Yeah.
Where did you, I guess, where did you see yourself like going, like by moving to LA? Did you want to, I guess, like be a director or like be an, I mean, what was like your
I mean,
expectation?
at the time, really, I've always loved working with actors. Like I really love that. That's ultimately the love of it, and I love writing. I love words. I don't know. I think there's so much power in acting. I think there's so much power in filmmaking. I don't know. Every creative endeavor, like.
So you're working on a writing endeavor now, currently, aren't you?
I'm a writer's assistant for a show, but because of that opportunity, it's only increased my love for writing. So yeah, I'm spending a lot of time writing my own stuff for sure.
So what does that
That's
mean
awesome.
on the current gig, and then how do you translate that into your own work?
I think because I'm having to look at scripts every day, and for this specific one is an animated TV show that one of my buddies is co-creator of. But that is just, every single day you're getting a different script, and it's 13 episodes of a TV show. It's not like live action or anything else where you get one script, and that's what I'm used to. I'm used to having one script to go off of. In this, you're getting so many iterations of scripts. It's just based off one thing from, network notes and things like that they're having to change. And it's, for my job, it's just being so focused on what changes are done, because every week you're having to, send record sheets to actors and what they need to do. And if line changes, and they get the stuff back, it's just, so everything just requires just a very careful eye.
So you have to have a hyper focus on the details of writing.
Not necessarily writing, just just what's being written. Because I'm not. My responsibility is not to write the show. My responsibility is taking the scripts and just whatever changes are happening, things like that.
That they're communicated to the people who need to know.
Exactly.
How you explained it to me was like there's like this whole staff, this whole board of writers, right? Like, and every change they make, they send to you to put in the master script. Is that how it works?
Well, David and Olin are the ones who are writing the show, so they, like I said, they'll make a draft, and constantly things are they'll get notes from network and things like that.
This is Final Space, by the way, on TBS.
Final Space, yeah.
Third season, right?
Third season.
Dang, they're on season 3.
Yeah,
great.
it's so awesome, man.
Doing really
It's so
good.
awesome.
It's got a great cast, Ashley Birch, and there's a lot of.
Oh, really?
Really, yeah.
Oh.
There's so many cool, like, I don't know. This is I think just loving video games. That was something that I've just always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And just being around actors, it's very nice. It's just learning the process and taking my own goals, what my goals are.
Yeah.
And they're kind of aligning here because I'm able to see what other actors are doing and how
Yeah.
they're, what they're doing to
Does oh, sorry.
No, you're good, son.
I was just gonna ask, like, is there any? So you're dealing with all these like, really like these career professional top of their game writers on the show, right?
I mean, I'm not dealing with, obviously, like
I mean,
yeah.
but you're seeing how they work, and like you're having to like be part of that workflow. What can you take from that? Because it is a network animation show, right? So that's obviously different from like live action and stuff that like we usually make.
Yeah.
But is there anything you can take from that, like as a writer? Like, has there been any like process or like?
I think, I mean, just seeing the amount of, I'm so used to just like getting down on myself when you're writing something. It's like, oh, this shouldn't be like this. This shouldn't be like this.
Totally.
And then you get so jaded about that one part that you never finish it.
Oh, 100%.
So
yeah.
it's just like, yeah, you see like, okay, they're putting out so many drafts every week. It's like, okay, well, finish a draft. And then from there, you can always go back and tweak things and things like that. The most important part is just, if you have an idea, finish it, and I'm one to speak, just like I've got projects that I never finished or things failed, but man, I look back and I'm just like, man, I learned the most from things that went wrong. I didn't really learn much from things that went right,
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
that's
such
how
a
you
good-
learn.
So
And
they-
also,
they just do it.
like the same concept applies to multiple aspects of filmmaking. I think, like with editing, I've been doing more and more editing, especially since I moved out here. And one of the things that I have been applying is the same like idea, which is just if you find yourself in a point in an edit that you feel like it's not working, just get the idea mapped out and then keep going, because you if you don't get through it and at least get a draft of it down, then you can never make adjustments, you can never make improvements to it, and you can never see how it fits in with the overall piece.
That's a
So-
really-
100%.
Really good point. Yeah.
It's the same. I think that's the same with everything in life. Like at least when it comes to like building something, it's the same with 3D modeling. You know, I'll start with a block out. If I'm modeling something, I'll block it out with just like cubes and see, is this the shape I want? And then from there, once you see that the shape works, then you go in and detail it. So it's the same with the script. And like to me when writing, the hardest part is getting the V1 out.
Yeah.
But once you have the
Dude,
V1, then it's like, oh, okay, great. Then now I can
Yeah.
I can see the hard work has been done, and then you can tweak.
Yeah. Oh,
But
that's-
yeah, it must be crazy just watching these professionals just
Dude.
crank out V1s and V2s like
yeah,
there's like
it's
V11s.
nothing. Yeah,
Mhm.
just
it's very inspiring, you know. It's just like, it just makes me realize too that, yeah, there's always something to fix, and there's always something that you can refine, and no idea is ever complete, really.
have you ever been surprised like, guys, why do you keep writing this? Like it's already really good. Like
Yeah, I have, yeah, because a lot of honestly, they're really good at writing, but at the same time, when they put out another draft, it's like, okay, yeah, I see why.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
It's, yeah, it's just it's something that they always pinpoint. They're always thinking about what happened last season. Okay, that happened. That this would be a good thing to and it too with fans. Fans know better than the creators most of the time of what they want to see. So I think they really, really do listen to their fans a lot.
it's really good.
Yeah, because everything that they've done is just, it's amazing. And animation is such a different beast that I'm in a completely new element with, obviously. But I'm thankful to just, like I said earlier, just serve, and to learn through serving is, yeah, there's no better way. So I hope I'm doing a good job with what I'm, my required task as a writer's assistant. And yeah, it's definitely built that muscle of starting to write again and keep that discipline for sure.
So what's next for you, man? I mean, do you want to take some of this and go out and do another piece after this, another video?
I've got something that it's been on my heart for a while, just going back to my grandparents' condition. Like I've been writing a piece for past 3 years or so. Kind of, it's not based on my life, but there's a lot of things that I think there's a lot of issues behind that specific disease that aren't talked about.
Which disease is that?
Just Alzheimer's in general.
yeah.
So there's the thing that I'm writing it's kind of a personal project, but yeah, I think I always think about what can I do to help someone else, and is there a story that might convey someone else that's going through something in a dark time.
What are some of those elements, I guess, of Alzheimer's that you're trying to get out in that?
I guess how much it could divide family. Like, I mean, it's interesting because like you look at the people, my grandparents, they were never really truly, you go through some really difficult parts of them forgetting who they are and forgetting who you are. But it's always straining on more of the people who are taking care of them and the people's family. Like my grandparents were always just very peaceful, like even in that condition, they were peaceful, even though that sometimes they wouldn't know what was going on. It was just always very hurtful for our immediate family and that caring process. And it was very straining, figuring out, because it almost feels like you're losing your mind with them in a lot of ways.
And
Yeah.
Weirdly
you
enough.
took on a lot of brunt of that caretaking. If that's how you explained it to me.
I moved in
the
with my
past.
grandparents for a while, and both of them had it, so it was almost like taking care of children in a lot of ways.
Wow.
And,
So as somebody who's gone through that process, what can you offer it? Do you have anything that you've learned, any advice that you can offer to somebody else that might be experiencing that?
it's tough because it feels, like I said, it feels like the end of the world when you're going through it, but you just got to know that, this too shall pass. It's a tattoo. That's the only tattoo that I've gotten. It was just kind of when I moved back to LA, I just wanted something to remember that time. It was still in that same year. And yeah, this too shall pass, you just got to know that it's not the end, and it sucks that I don't know, it's the worst. I think it's personally the worst disease, and
Yeah.
just because obviously I was affected. I mean, my grandparents were affected by it, but no, I think the biggest thing is no one is certain. No one is promised tomorrow, so the biggest thing is just loving the time that you have with the people that you love. It just got to the point where I felt like I was at the end of my road, and I wasn't I don't know. I had to make another move. So the biggest thing for me was to get my parents' peace. Is like because I felt like I was abandoning my grandparents a lot of way by coming back to LA. But no, I'm grateful for that time that I had with them, and it's definitely the time that I needed to go back to learn something about myself for sure.
Yeah.
I'm glad-
yeah, and
I'm
I mean
glad
that
you came back
stuff,
out,
you
man.
never plan it, but at the same time, that as creators, I think in the process of those things, of the things that hit you in life that you don't plan, sometimes that's when you learn the most. And oftentimes when afterwards you can center yourself on a specific goal that you might not have otherwise had prior to that experience.
Yeah.
Jake,
Yeah.
since we're heavy right now,
Yeah.
I know both of your parents passed, right?
Yep. In a 2-year period, I lost both my parents, 2013 and 2015.
Did you feel after that moment that like you had to push harder and do something for them, and like kind of as a way to move on, but also kind of like dedicating a next big push to them or something? Like, did you feel that way?
Yeah, I think so. I heard, I don't know if Scott Van Pelt from ESPN said this, but he said a man who loses their father early spends the rest of their life trying to, I guess, live up to what they wanted you to be. And I think the thing that hit me more so than anything through that experience was I realized, very clearly and obviously for the very first time that, well, just to preface this, I set off on my own when I was 18, and I had been kind of independent for many years, but very clearly and obviously after that point, I realized that there was no fallback of any kind. And I was 28, I think, 27, that was 2015, so I was 28, yeah. And I realized that, there was that anything that I had to do required me to, set myself up for that success. And I always felt like that because they always taught me that. Yeah, I guess, there's like at least for me, there was a renewed sense of passion and, I guess, urgency to live up to some of these, not necessarily what their dreams were for me, but for what my dreams were for myself,
Yeah.
And then, like you said, Brett, I mean, you're never guaranteed in second day. And, like you're talking about your grandfather earlier when we started, and just saying how there's always this idea of treating people with respect, because you don't know where they came from, you don't know what they're going through, you don't know what they're doing, what they've done for others, etc. And just keeping that in the back of your head, when you're going throughout your day, and trying to think less of yourself and more of, who you're interacting with.
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely a tough challenge, especially now, but yeah, it's something. Yeah.
It's a good moral to have, a good like grounding value to have, think of others. Don't always assume the worst of people.
Yeah, super important.
Yeah, man.
And Dale Carnegie has a good book. I resisted reading it for the longest
Few
time.
good ones.
But he's got How to Win Friends and Influence People, and I resisted reading it for the longest time just solely based on that title, because I'm not the type of person that wants to win friends and influence people.
Yeah.
But the heart of it is quite the opposite of that. At the end of it, it's people will listen. People will want to interact with you and respond to you if you are generally interested in them. And that's, kind of the message of the book. And I don't know, it's just a good take on that whole idea.
Absolutely.
I feel like I need to reread that one, man.
it's
That's
a
a
good
good
one.
good book.
It is. It is. It's very helpful. And it also gives you a clarity, I think, Especially with everything that's going on in like the world today, the last few months and everything. It's like it can often feel like you're going crazy right alongside somebody else.
Totally.
But a lot of times, you take that step back, you think about others, and a lot of times that break in mentality can set you straight and put you where you need to be.
Right. Because typically, I mean, I think things typically happen when there's something to learn in in an aspect of your life or in a season of your life. Things happen. I try to believe that just because, I mean, it keeps your mind out of a dark situation that might arise. But yeah, I think there's always something to take away and to,
Oh yeah.
implement the things that the people who we love the most have taught us.
Yeah, dude.
Well, that's why we love you, son.
I love y'all, son. That's why everybody's a son, son.
Yeah.
Everyone's a son. So I know we just
Don't
went,
even ask me where that come from.
No, we just went really deep. I have a couple things I want to ask you about regarding that, son,
Okay,
because
son.
Brett Driver here is one of the only humans I know who has his own catchphrase, and I mean a catchphrase. It's not just a saying.
I don't know if it's my catchphrase. It's definitely not my
I'm pretty
catchphrase.
sure
I mean,
that
I-
when we
I
started
started-
saying it
I don't
more,
know.
other people that we did not know started using it more.
I
Maybe it
think
was
it's
just like
I don't think I'm the first person to say it. I
But-
think
but
it's just the
Brett,
way
You're
you gotta
not,
say
but
it.
like I got it from you.
You are like
You know?
there's like a digital statue somewhere with sun etched at the base of it. Like you are the face of sun. Like there's been like old Southern gentlemen saying it for generations, but you're like, that's like Brett
you're
Driver.
bringing it into the new.
Even
new.
so much that there's like one of the most successful VR video games. You're the character in that. And
Oh
you're
yeah,
saying
let's
sun.
get into that.
And I wanted to ask you about Boneworks. Did you ever see yourself being a video game character? And like, what was your thought process when Brandon asked you to? I guess what did he ask you?
Or
Was
do you
he
just
"Hey, do
feel
you
like
wanna
your
be
whole
like the
life
main
is
guy in my
playing a video game character?
What's that, Jake?
Or do you just feel like your whole life is a video game character?
No, I mean it's still like very honestly, it's still very humbling. It's my whole life I've loved video games. I think that's ultimately why I wanted to tell stories, because it's my dad and I we didn't really get along with too many things, but games are that one thing that we really
Really?
like, video
Nice.
games. Like I grew up on the Atari and everything else, and I don't know. I think games have always been a part of my life, but no, it's when Brandon came to me about it, I was like, oh, okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, granted, I had to say son a million times. It was, it's
So you seem reluctant about that though. Is sun something that you try to? I mean, we all think it's hilarious and it's just kind of like an inside joke, right? But like, I could see how that could not be a joke for you if you literally have everyone saying son around you all the time,
Right.
son.
yeah, son.
Like, I mean, what do you think about that? The fact that like, when I say it goes from a saying to a catchphrase, like I think there's like a difference there. Like I can say yo what's up or whatever, like all I want, and that can be my saying.
right.
But you say son, and now a character that is based on you says son, and it's like it's gone from you to like a whole separate thing.
Yeah,
What do you think about that?
it's weird. I guess I've always questioned it within myself. Why do I say son so often? But at the end of the
Why
day,
do
it's
I
like that's
say
why it
son?
makes people happy. Like I love when you guys light up when I say it. So yeah, I keep doing it. And it makes people. I don't know. Like I'm all about bringing joy, even though it's it's about finding those things. And I think for me, it's just like I enjoy when people smile about it. So
Dude, you're gonna have a 2-year-old daughter and you're like, what up, son?
of course I will.
Everyone's a son. So can
What
can
up,
sons
sonette?
be boys,
What up,
girls? Like
sonette?
who's a son? Like can girls be sons?
We all
Of
sons.
course, yeah. So
I like to hear that. That's
Everybody's a
great.
son.
We all
So-
sons.
Everyone's a son under the sun.
Is it weird to see people punching your head?
of course.
Oh, dude, I've seen some weird videos of
I
you
have
getting
too.
murdered,
Yeah,
son.
yeah. There's plenty.
Like it's just like there's random like
It's, like,
streamers.
excessive.
They're like, all right, today
it's like excessive.
I'm gonna murder this guy
Yeah.
30
a million times.
30 of these
And,
guys.
dude,
Yeah.
it
It's-
is so hilarious.
I think
man.
I would be pretty. I think it would feel very weird if I didn't already like die in every short film that I've ever done. Like honestly, like I really
alright.
have everything.
You
I've
are the
ever,
Sean Bean.
Got a little Sean
I'm the
Bean.
Sean Dean of this generation. No.
Yes.
It's no. I think that's why. Like I could put together a death reel faster than I could put together like good acting moments for myself.
What's the weirdest death you've ever had to do on screen?
Oh man.
Any weird ones? Like,
I don't know if I've had to do any. Oh, I mean, falling that lava scene still gets me.
oh, dude, that is one of my favorite deaths of all time.
Hey, you know they made a game show
Remakes
called The
through
Floor is
and
Dude,
through.
Lava.
they had to steal that from Clint.
Oh,
Yeah,
by
they
the
had
way,
to steal that from Clint.
that game show is just, oh,
It's not good.
It's all set up. It's all set.
Trash.
Up.
It seemed like a
bro,
cool idea.
it is.
It's rough.
The execution is.
They stole it. I mean, they do. I mean, obviously, The Floor is Lava has been around for a while.
Yeah.
That
You
video
guys
has
did it better.
100 million views.
It's 120 something now.
That's
120
so
million.
insane, dude. And
Yeah,
that,
but that death, dude. It's like, all right, hip hip hooray, all right, and then he's like, all right, here we go, and then you just dive for it and just boom.
And not only that, but you continue as a character in the story as this like human body log. That
Oh, yeah.
is, like,
You saved my life,
I'm
dude.
glad, son.
dude. So even I think that sums you up, son. It sums you up.
Helping out
He
even
helps
in
out,
death.
even in death.
Even in death, man.
People will
son
use your
is
body
dead.
as a canoe. Is that what you want us to do?
I mean, might as well, son.
Might as well.
You're served,
It
dude.
saved your life.
So, back to Boneworks. How much like was that an intensive process to like do motion capture and like voiceovers for a video game?
It was honestly like it wasn't. I think we spent like 3 weeks on it, but it was mostly just
Sand Sun?
mainly, yeah. No, it was just I mean, it was super quick. Everybody over there was super talented, and they just did 3D scans. Did that, and I didn't do any. I did a few motion capture stuff, but it was basically all voice. They basically had it all laid out.
Like hits and
Yeah,
grunts and exertions and all
It's-
this stuff.
It's kind of weird. I gotta be honest. Like, Brett and I would be hanging out playing guitar at home, right? And I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna go play Boneworks. I'd go in and then I'd be in Brett's skin, like,
And then
oh,
your
Brett,
roommates.
that's awesome.
Wait,
you
this is
play as
freaking
your
weird,
roommate.
man. Like, and it's like
Totally.
you're saying like scars and shit are there, and
yeah,
like,
they got
I'm
my
like,
knuckle scar on there.
I'm like in the other room of my apartment, playing as my roommate, jumping around.
yeah.
That's so cool.
It's so weird, dude. Like,
That is
it's
awesome.
just kind of one of those like, okay, this is like a weird future moment right now. Like,
Mhm.
but I don't know, man. It's super cool to see that people are having fun with. that
Yeah, I mean,
character.
no, I'm so thankful that people are enjoying it too. Like that's the biggest thing. Like I said, it's if I think my whole mission with everything, if just one person enjoys anything that I do, it's so humbling, and I'm just thankful that I have good people around me and people who actually who care what it's cool. It's very cool.
That's why we love
Smash
you, son.
cut to the pan face shot. What up, son?
Yeah. What up, son?
All right. Well,
Those
we
are
got
good.
Tiny Guns 3 on the docket at some point here, so
Ooh.
maybe you can
Come,
reprise your
break my
role
face
as the
You
the
got-
kingpin.
You got murdered, didn't you? You
No, I
shot.
got put into a back of the police car.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's
You
not
got
dead.
I'm not dead.
You're alive.
Well, let me know, son.
wanna know
I'll
what
grow my hair
happens.
out for it just for you.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, maybe the kingpin cut his hair. I don't know.
Maybe.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Maybe
Yeah.
he grew it longer.
No, the last one was good too. I love the second one. That was so intense.
That was all
Thank
Sam,
you.
man. Freaking
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think some people got that it was a parody of like war movies. Some people were like very offended by it, but
Were they?
I had a great time. I thought it was
Oh, yeah,
I thought
dude.
it was wonderful. But I'm biased, obviously.
I mean,
Yeah.
No, it's hilarious. We worked hard on it. It
Yeah.
was a good time.
So let's do another one.
Let's do it. I'm down.
let's do it.
All right, you heard it
Here's
here
to many
first on the
more.
Corridor
Here's
Cast.
to many more sons.
Yeah.
Dude, it's been so good just getting to know the real Brett Driver. Not that we've ever had a deep conversation ever in our lives
Right.
before,
Yeah.
but hey, man, it was a good talk.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thanks
And
for having me on, guys.
yeah, let us know when season 3 of Final Space is coming out and what else you're working on.
For sure, son. I definitely will. Yeah, I got some few things coming up, and I'll keep you guys posted.
Cool.
Tony
Yes.
Baloney too.
Tony Baloney too.
There you
Oh,
go.
are you for real?
Hey, I mean,
Yeah.
there's rumors,
There's rumors.
Rumors.
There's rumors.
It could happen.
Baloney, that's baloney.
Tony Baloney.
All right, cool. Thanks, man.
Thank you, son. I appreciate
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Come back sometime, Brett.
you. I will, son.
back sometime.
I'm here right now.
I'm here right now.
See you guys.
Don't leave us.
See you, son.